So, Norwich, Bournemouth and Watford are on their way down to the Championship, but I've got a list of a few players I don't think should go with them. Let's go! Hey guys, how you doing? FMDale here and welcome to the Football Show. Yeah, this week on the Football Show we are going to talk about the players from Bournemouth, Norwich and Watford who shouldn't go with the team down. So it's very difficult to figure out what players did deserve to go down and what players didn't. So what I'm going to do in this video is pick two players who I think need to get moves out of their club and then one player who will strive in the Championship and maybe even get a better move from being there. So let's go straight into it with the bottom team, Norwich. So such a difficult season for Norwich. We all hoped, we all prayed after that first game against Liverpool where they got absolutely spanked. But we thought they looked really good, they had chances, and we thought this season for Norwich they might be able to stay up. Fortunately, didn't go the way of the Canaries, but which players deserve to stay? Let's get to them. The first one is obvious. I think anybody watching Norwich this season will know that Ben Godfrey doesn't deserve to go to the Championship. Ben Godfrey is a player who has proven himself at many levels already. Playing League One football with Shrewsbury, a few of my friends saying this boy is the one to watch, and he was. He was fantastic with Shrewsbury in League One, went to the Championship and did it with Norwich, and went to the Premier League this past season and once again proved to everyone what a player he is. This boy can play centre back, he can play in the midfield, he can do mostly anything, and I think the sky's the limit, right? I read today that he could possibly be heading to Milan, Napoli. We've heard talk of Man United. The only issue is that they have slapped on the £50 million price tag. Now, is that too much for the 22-year-old? Nah, get in, get on it now. It's Man United, this one is for you. The second one who needs to stay in Norwich is this boy, Todd Cantwell. Todd has been outrageous this season, scoring 6 goals in the Premier League and every single game taking it by the scruff of the neck, and he looks like a Premier League player. He has that fearlessness, the ability to do a little trick here and there, and he brings it. He brings it in the games. And not only that, he's got fantastic hair. Having already played for the England under-21s and being talked about, even in the newspapers today, that Liverpool could be looking at him, the sky is the limit. Would he be a young, perfect replacement for Adam Lallana? Something to look at for Liverpool, but on a personal level, I think he could play at any mid-table Premier League team to lower mid-table Premier League team. They should be looking at him. He's a first-team starter and definitely worth staying in the Premier League. They're the positives. They're the ones who definitely need to stay in the Premiership. But what's the positive about going down for Norwich? Well, I think it's this boy. Adam Ido, 6'3" striker, 19 years old, already an under-21 cap player for Ireland. The sky's the limit for this boy, but I think if he gets the opportunity to play in the Championship for a whole season, they could have a real talent. It could be the greatest thing for him. Instead of going out on loan, he gets to stay with Norwich and he gets to play. Now, he did play in the FA Cup this season, scoring a hat-trick against a Championship team in Preston. So if that's not a good indication for what this boy could do next year, what is? So he is the one to look out for. If you're a Norwich fan, you want to keep hold of that boy because next season could be a shining light for him. So that is Norwich out of the way, so let's look at the next team. We're going to go to Watford. Watford was such a surprise. This season we had a couple of surprises, I think, with relegation, but Watford for me was one of the biggest. Team, player for player, they shouldn't be going down. They've got a very good defensive unit and they play so structured, but maybe it is because they get rid of managers. In fact, in that little gap that I had there, thinking of something funny to say, they'd already sacked 3. So which players need to leave Watford? I know, even before we start, you're all thinking I'm going to say Troy Deeney, but nah, he doesn't make the list. Number 1 is Ismaila Sarr. Now this boy is only 22. He's from Senegal, he's got pace, he's got trickery, he always looks like doing something a little bit different. And we need that kind of player in the Premier League, especially at clubs like Palace, who he's been linked to as maybe the new Wilfried Zaha. I'm not quite sure he's he's just a hard kind of player, but up front for Palace, yes, please. He came for 30 million at the start of the season, and they're already talking about a 40 million price tag on him already. For me, he needs to stay in the Premier League because he needs to reach his potential, but he needs to be challenged. And I think a Premier League place is definitely needed for his Miller star. So we're talking any team basically. Again, I think even the big teams could take a risk with the boy. Even City could take a risk on Sarr. He's only young, he's got a lot to come, and hey, 40 million to a Man City means nothing. Second, Abdoulaye Doucouré. Of course Doucouré was going to be on this list. For the last, it seems, million years, he's been every summer linked to a different top club. Maybe this is his chance. He's 27 years old now, peaking in his career and ready to make the next step. Been a very consistent performer for Watford. Every time you watch him, you always think he can do something a little bit different. He's defensive, he's attacking, he's box to box, he's there, he's always around. And I think that's something needed by a lot of Premier League teams. He's been linked with Arsenal, he could be linked with Spurs, he could be linked with anyone, and you could put him in that team. So it's very interesting to see where Doucouré will go. I can't see him staying in the Championship. I don't see the point. And at 27, cash in, move on up. He deserves to be in the Premier League. But who should stay at Watford? Where is the Championship suited? Well, this one's a tough one because this is one of my favourite footballers. It's Will Hughes. Yeah, I love Will Hughes. I think he's a fantastic, underrated player who has never really got the opportunity to do what he should be doing at Watford. The guy who moved from Derby, playing in every under-21 game I can remember, 22 caps, believe it or not, for the under-21s, but at 25 has still not made an appearance for the England team. When he was a youngster coming through a Derby, he was expected to move to Liverpool. There was talk of him moving to big clubs. It never quite happened. He moved to Watford and we all thought that was a great opportunity for him to showcase his skills in the Premier League. What happened? Well, they never played to his strengths. Will Hughes became more of a defensive midfielder, fitting the pieces instead of letting himself be the main event. Now, if they move down to the Championship, if they're already gone, it's an opportunity for him to rekindle that career. You've got to believe that Capoue, Doucouré, Sarr will all leave Watford. Now, if he stays, who's his competition? Tom Cleverley. No worries at all in that situation. So for me, if Will Hughes stays just for one season until he's 26, he can then move next year if Watford don't get promotion, and he will only look fantastic in the Championship. So come on, Will. Prove that you are the player that I believe you are. Now, Bournemouth. Bournemouth is that tale that we all didn't want to see. We loved it when Bournemouth went up 5 years ago, and we all went through the journey with them and every single one of their players. The issue with them is they're going to the Championship. Player for player, most of them probably should be there. I know, it sounds harsh and it sounds incredibly mean to Bournemouth to say that their players are not Premier League quality, but really? I mean, when you look at their defensive lineup of Cook and Daniels and Smith, how many of those are we actually saying are Premier League quality? With Ake already going to Manchester City, or as good as gone at least, I'm not going to bring him into this equation. That's too obvious. So let's pick some others. First, Josh King. Yeah, Josh King at 28 years old. Former Manchester United youngster, has done fantastic in his 5 years, in my opinion, at Bournemouth. He scored 48 goals for a team that don't really score goals. Okay, you might say that a lot of them are penalty. He's still got to put them away. He's got pace, he's got finishing ability, and for me, he's a Premier League player, flat out Premier League player, and we're talking about any team. Going back to Man U is a push. Going back to a big club, maybe a push. But I think anything outside the top 6 is possible for Josh King. And I think it would be a great signing for any of those teams. Like, if you mention them through, Newcastle could absolutely love a Josh King. Fantastic signing for them. Everton with Calvert-Lewin, Josh King and Richarlison up front. I believe that's a fantastic front three. Now, you may have other beliefs, but I am a big fan of Josh King and I think he needs to stay in the Premier League. All right, my second pick is a player who's sort of gone under the radar. It's Lewis Cook. Yeah, Lewis Cook was signed from Leeds and went to Bournemouth. We all felt this was a fantastic move for Lewis. Has it worked out? Probably not. Injuries have played a massive part on the development of Lewis Cook. When he was at Leeds, he looked really good as a young player, coming through, controlling the midfield, playing in a very Bournemouth style, a great passer, great reader of the game. Why has it not worked? Yeah, like I say, injuries. injuries have probably been the reason it's not worked for him. You could happily argue that maybe a year in the Championship playing regularly would be fantastic for him, but for me, he doesn't need that. He just needs to play in the Premier League. He's got the options there, and I believe teams like Leeds, why not go back to Leeds? I feel like it would be a great option for Leeds to bring a boy back, play in the Premier League for them. He knows the club, even at Brighton. Brighton's just signed Adam Lallana, and for me, a perfect foil for Adam Lallana would be Cook. But I believe somebody should be taking a punt on Lewis Cook. Who will thrive from Bournemouth going down to the Championship? Well, I mean, it's got to be this guy, right?
Oh, Kasper Schmeichel couldn't keep it out, and Bournemouth have turned it around.
Dominic Solanke. Now, Solanke started at Chelsea, moved to Liverpool. The hopes have been so high on this boy. He's played at every youth level. He's even been capped by the full English team. But, well, he sort of failed completely at Bournemouth. He had a 39-game spell without a goal. Now, for your central striker, that is a big worry. He's got 3 goals at the end of the season, which is good for him. He got a couple against Leicester and broke that drought, but he needs a year in the Championship. He's come through all these different clubs, playing at Youth 11, coming off the bench for Chelsea, coming off the bench for Liverpool. When he moved to Bournemouth, we thought this was the chance. But when you're a team who don't create many chances and you're a young boy who needs those chances to score, you're never going to look great. But if you move down to the Championship and have a full season there, it saves him going out on loan. This is the opportunity for him to reclaim his place. He's only 22 years old. I feel a lot of people have written off Dominic Solanke way before they should. This boy can still bring it back, and I think a year in the Championship for Bournemouth is a great opportunity for him. Okay guys, so that's my opinion on who should leave the relegated teams and who should stay, who will thrive in the Championship. I want to know your opinions too. Get into the comments, like, subscribe, and do all that beautiful stuff. But let me know your opinions. That's the most important in the comments. Now, I'll see you very, very shortly on another football show. Cheers, guys.